Hello and how's it going, everyone? It is Skullzi here with another Bethesda News Roundup video, where we break down the most recent Bethesda news, rumors, and speculation, and we have a few interesting things to talk about in today's video. I have some more confirmation that there will be a Bethesda showcase this E3 season, or this summer. I mean, there's gonna be a digital E3, and then there's the Summer Games Fest, which is a random collection of things, so there's a lot of opportunities for Bethesda to show stuff at either one of these events, but Bethesda is confirmed to be showing off stuff this summer, including Starfield, which they low-key alluded to during that recent Microsoft and Bethesda livestream. And on top of all this, I have some more confirmation, or at least some more information that seems to indicate Starfield should be coming this year as well, which would make sense if Bethesda was showing it this summer. And on top of that, I have a few more interesting things to break down also. There's going to be a lot to go through in this video. There's going to be some small stuff which I'll go through really quickly, but no matter what, I'll try to be quick and concise with this information. That way I don't make a 30-minute documentary about just recent Bethesda news. But either way, let's not waste any more time and get to today's information. First off, thanks to Timur over on Twitter. I don't know if that's Timur or Timur. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but Timur always discovers a lot of stuff, even outside of the Bethesda sphere. If you want to follow someone that discovers a lot of interesting things that other people don't usually share or talk about, you should follow Timur over on Twitter. Timur on Twitter. It sounds like it should be some kind of official partnership or something, but Timur found this over on LinkedIn, and you can see it is for a producer at Bethesda Game Studios, specifically in Montreal. And you can see, according to the text here, it says that this gameplay producer position was for Starfield on the PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. And I wanted to go through this first real quick in today's video, because I've seen other people talk about this as well, and they seem to think it indicates that Starfield will 100% be on the PS5 because of this LinkedIn posting. And in case you're curious, the person's name isn't on this LinkedIn posting because we try to not talk about the actual employee's name unless it's like important for some reason. That way they have a little bit more privacy. However, this position ended in 2020, before the Microsoft and Bethesda deal was even publicly talked about, or maybe even talked about behind the scenes. Maybe they low-key discussed it back then, but Starfield has been in development for a long time, even before this. However, when you take in mind that this position ended in mid-2020, it kind of just nullifies any potential confirmation you may think that this has for Starfield being on the PS5. Now, bear in mind, it hasn't been 100% confirmed whether or not Starfield would be Xbox exclusive, meaning only on the PC and the Xbox. Chances are very likely. However, Phil Spencer and them have still kind of bounced around with the wording not being exactly specific in regards to Starfield, but I think chances are kind of higher than you may think that Starfield could at least be temporarily exclusive on Xbox. But like I said, it's not confirmed one way or another. I am low-key expecting exclusivity. It would be smart for Microsoft to do that, to be honest, and I know I hate exclusivity. A lot of the community would be missing out if Starfield was exclusive, but I'm just saying what I think in terms of a gaming journalist. I think it would be smart for Bethesda to make Starfield exclusive, at least for a short period of time, because this is one of Bethesda's first new games, actually their first new IP in over 25 years. People are going to want to check this game out, and they may pick up an Xbox to get Starfield, even if it is only timed exclusive. But either way, let's move on to the next thing I want to talk about in today's video. This next information was sent to me by Cameron Hill over on Twitter, so huge shout out to Cameron for sending this my way. And this somehow went under my radar. I don't know how I didn't notice this, so thank you, Cameron, for bringing it to my attention. And you can see this is an official Xbox email that was shared by Xbox Game Pass, obviously as a publicity stunt or marketing thing, and this is what it says here. Xbox Game Pass says, "There's probably a hint about a game in here somewhere. Honestly, we can't keep up with all the announcements lately," and they're low-key just saying, here's a hint, but we're not going to tell you what game this hint is for. But I think it's kind of obvious, seeing how Bethesda just joined Microsoft, and then this email pops up out of nowhere, and the rhetoric of the email obviously is in regards to Bethesda anyway. And I say all this because here's the email. You can see it's from Melissa McGamepass, which I love that name, that's hilarious. But she says, "Hey team, so much news today, hope you don't mind if I add some more. Although it's completely unrelated to the other announcements, that new game has been confirmed and is officially coming to the service," meaning Game Pass. And she doesn't say what this new game is, but I'm assuming it's Starfield based upon what I said earlier about this email popping up right after Bethesda and Microsoft has been approved and publicly talked about. She goes on to say, "As always, keep this confidential," which, okay, that's why the official Xbox, one of the official Xbox Twitter accounts tweeted this. Keep it confidential, you mean for marketing reasons until you share it publicly? But she continues on to say, "Before I go, I did have something to ask. Has anyone else noticed a mysterious signal appearing in the distance lately? Or am I the anomaly in this situation? Weird question, I know. Thanks, Melissa. Thank you, Melissa, because this is probably one of the biggest Starfield teases we have gotten ever, and it came from Xbox. And that's a bigger deal than you may think for the reasons I'll list, which is what I just said. This is one of the first and biggest Starfield teases we got in a while, and it came from Xbox, specifically an Xbox email that wasn't supposed to go out, even though Xbox themselves tweeted it. This is 100% confirmation, in my opinion, that Microsoft is also going to spearhead the marketing campaign for Starfield, and maybe I should rechange my wording here, because they're not going to. They are doing that right now with this email. The only thing that Bethesda has said recently in regards to Starfield is that they low-key confirmed it will be shown off again this summer at probably E3 or the Summer Games Fest, I guess, probably both, to be honest. Well, Pete Hines didn't directly say Starfield. He kind of left enough clues in there to let us know that's exactly what he was talking about. But now, here's this, a mysterious signal somewhere in the distance that seems like that has to do directly with potentially the story of Starfield, which kind of is strange, right? Because we have no hint ever, no official hint about the story or what it could be, and now we got the first one from Xbox? That's crazy, but keep in mind, this could be for any game, even though it doesn't say Starfield, and I'm just saying that as a disclaimer because for the reasons I said before, I'm almost confident this marketing email leak is for Starfield. I mean, why else would it just pop up now all of a sudden directly after the Bethesda-Microsoft deal was finalized and went public like crazy? But I guess take this with a little bit of that speculation salt, even though I think this is a lot more official than it may seem. But let's move on to the next thing I want to talk about in today's video. Next up, this is a Reddit post over on the Starfield subreddit by Oda P, and if this is the Oda I know, Oda is an amazing community member over at Starfield. I believe they're at my Starfield Discord as well, always discovering stuff, only I haven't been on my Discord server for a few days because I am reformatting my PC, moving everything over to a new one, and I should be back on Discord Monday, and I will be streaming again with my new PC. But either way, back to the purpose of today's video. Oda discovered that the lower part, the secondary mirror of the space station that we saw in that 2018 Starfield teaser trailer, is actually slowly moving on rails. And this makes sense if this is some kind of telescope or some kind of device that monitors any anomalies in space, which maybe could go along with what Melissa McGamepass said about a strange signal being discovered in space. Maybe this telescope picked up on that signal and started to scan it, and then the signal realized it was being scanned and opened up a wormhole and sucked the ship into it, and maybe you were on this space station while that happened. I know that sounds really strange and doesn't really seem to have any cohesive element to it, but I'm sure there's a lot more behind the scenes to the story that would make sense if that is what was going on in that trailer. But either way, I just felt like this discovery by Oda was worth mentioning in today's video. Thank you, Oda, for finding some more stuff, and let's move on to the next thing I want to talk about in today's video. Aaron Greenberg, general manager of Xbox, actually tweeted this a couple of days ago, actually 2 days ago on March 11th, and you can see it says he just got sent this and he's going to see if their packaging team can work this into their next update. Obviously, he's just memeing. I highly doubt we'll see this, although I'm just saying, Microsoft, if you do something like this, I can pre-order it right now. Just saying, and I will. I totally will, obviously. But he's joking. He's just going in on the meme and kind of joining in on that hype of Bethesda being part of Microsoft, and this is hilarious. A official Todd Howard Xbox. It kind of low-key reminds me of my take on the Starfield box art, which obviously was also a joke, and he even went all out by making his entire Twitter profile, or at least his display pic, be themed about this also. It's just interesting to see Microsoft embrace Bethesda and all its memes. I'm pretty sure these two are going to have a very close working relationship. It's a great thing for Bethesda fans, and I just can't wait for the golden age of Bethesda to come. Next thing I want to talk about in today's video is kind of quick, but Summer Games Fest also confirms that Xbox and Bethesda have confirmed. They also confirmed that Bethesda has confirmed. Confirmation, but Xbox and Bethesda has confirmed that they have new games to share with fans this summer, which seems to indicate that they will be at Summer Games Fest, and I believe E3 also announced they will have a digital event as well. I'm sure Bethesda will have a digital BE3 event also to go along with the Summer Games Fest, but either way, only time will tell exactly how much Bethesda will have to show us, what events they'll even be at, but I guarantee we're seeing Starfield this summer, and that just has the hype, assuming you already know how it goes, the control directly, all that stuff anyway. Let's move on to the next thing. Game Informer just sat down with Arcane Studios and asked them 80 rapid-fire questions about Deathloop. If you are hyped for Deathloop, which you should be because this game should get a lot more hype and attention than it's getting. It looks pretty unique in its premise and its setting. I'm super interested to hear more about it and actually just play this game. But if you want to hear more about this Game Informer video is for you. I'll go ahead and drop a link to it down in the description below, but you should be able to find it easily just by looking at the information on screen here and searching for it on YouTube. But let's move on to the last thing I want to talk about in today's video. This brings it all the way back around town to that Starfield subreddit, and this post is again, wow, I didn't realize this before. I should have looked, but this post is again by Oda. Like I said, Oda's always discovering stuff about Starfield. I think I need to just hire Oda to be my assistant at this point. But Oda says, here's some more evidence that Starfield is coming out in 2021. By now, some of you may know that IMBD has listed Starfield in their 2021 as its release date. However, what people probably didn't know is that there's now someone else credited under cast and crew who I think wasn't there before the last time I checked, and you can see it's Christopher Gardner, and he's listed as the sound recordist. So who is Christopher Gardner? A Bethesda employee? No. He works as a sound recordist for various companies, including Dave and Dave Recordings. I love that name, by the way. And from here on out, it becomes very interesting. Take a look at their homepage, and he typed out exactly what you should be looking for us here, and he says, Dave and Dave Recording Studio continues to grow and be recognized as one of the nation's premier studio facilities for voiceover recording and complete post-production sound. Post-production sound here is the important thing, with a focus on commercials, video games, television, film, and audiobook industries. And under services, you can also find the following information. We're the studio of choice for broadcast internet commercials, video games such as Skyrim and Fallout 4, and animated series such as Adventure Time, which is awesome. I love that show, and Top Cat Begins, and so many more titles. So this is a pretty reputable company. Dave and Dave has it going on with the sound recording, and Christopher Gardner too, and Christopher Gardner was also credited for Fallout 76, so Oda believes they did work for that one as well, which then came out later the same year. And they adapted pretty quick to COVID also, and apparently they're doing or finishing up post-production of Starfield right now, which means that the game has even more evidence suggesting that it will come out this year in 2021, because if they're doing post-production sound and all that additional stuff, that means that the game will be ready for production, for print, for digital sale, definitely by November of 2021, which is when a lot of insiders claim they heard the game will come out, including myself, and when just all the speculation and like educated guesses and just Bethesda patterns, everything points to a November of 2021 release, unless COVID pushed it back to 2022. But as you can see, even here, according to the sound company, they adapted pretty quick to keep doing what they're doing for the development of this game, and I'm sure Bethesda Game Studios did the rest. I'm sure the game is coming this year in 2021, and this is even more evidence to support that, as well as just some interesting detective work by Oda. Oda, you level up somehow. You get your own rank on Discord, Jenkins. Congratulations, Oda. Either way, that's going to finish up today's video. As always, if you enjoy the content, be sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn notifications on. And if you want to help grow the channel and the community, be sure to share the content, share the channel, share the video, get people to be aware of the channel, because YouTube really ignores channels underneath 100,000 subscribers. And because of that, the channel has low-key been growing kind of slowly. However, since I'm going to ask you all to share the content, the channel's been growing a lot faster. So huge thank you, it is much appreciated. And speaking of appreciation, huge shout out to these amazing people for going above and beyond to support the channel and bring you content like this. If you want to get a permanent future video shout out in every single one of my videos from this point forward, you can support the channel over on Ko-fi, Patreon, or here on YouTube as an exclusive channel member. I will be updating this list here at the end of the weekend, so if you want to get your name added to the next list, now is one of your last chances to do so. Links for all this and more are down in the description below, and as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when Oda just discovers literally a download link for Starfield. Good job, Oda.
It just works.